Are we ready to go? Good, okay. I will now call this council meeting to order on Wednesday, March 19th at 5 p.m. And we'll start with the territorial acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge with respect the history and living culture of the Anishinaabe, the people of the Three Fires known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation, who have inhabited this land from time immemorial. We recognize that these lands are the territories of the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, collectively known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the keepers of this land. Georgian Bluffs is located on lands encompassed by treaties 45.5, 67, 72, 82, and 93. We reflect on our role as treaty people and the need to live in respect and peace and show respect to the First Peoples who inhabit these lands and waters. Moving on, are there any urgent additions to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder that the agenda be approved as presented? Deputy Mayor Pringle and Councillor Day. Is there any discussion? Call the vote. All in favor? Does any member wish to declare a pecuniary interest? Seeing none, you may declare at any time if one should arise. Minutes of previous meetings, we have the council meeting from March 5th, 2025. The recommendation is that the minutes of the council meeting held on March 5th, 2025 be adopted. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Winters. Deputy Mayor Pringle. Is there any discussion? Call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Does any member wish to make an announcement? Councillor Coburn?
Thank you, and I am scrambling for my notes here. I imagine, Mayor Carlton, you were probably planning on making this announcement as well, so I look forward to hearing your words on this one too. I just wanted to congratulate, again, I'm looking for my notes so that I don't get the name of the award wrong, but Keith Davidson for winning one of the local awards for the King Charles III Coronation Awards for his meaningful and diligent community service over the years. Congratulations to Keith, and we're proud that one of the recipients, at least one and maybe more, were residents of Georgian Bluffs. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, I was at that award presentation on Saturday, and I was quite happy to see Keith and his family there. And there were a lot of other people. I think a couple of them were Georgian Bluffs residents, but nominated through other areas of this area, and it was really quite a nice presentation and ceremony for everyone. So they took the time to allow everyone to get families up, to get pictures, and just to do that little extra. So it was quite nice to be there. The other item that I have has to do with the county and Planning and Economic Development Advisory Committee as part of this with the new Gather campaign that's starting this year. It actually started back prior to COVID and then got shelved for that year. So it is up and running now. We had a presentation at Grey Roots last evening for 9 of the videos that are going to be used to promote the area and the businesses that are taking part in all of that. So sometime early April, those will be available for the general public to access. And you can go through madeingray.ca is the website for it. And it was interesting to see some of the different businesses that were represented, one of them being the Lavender Farm here in Georgian Bluffs and how they're reaching out. And there's a honey producer somewhere else in the township that uses their lavender to make a honey syrup. And it was just really interesting to see everybody that's involved in that. So kudos to staff at the county for putting that together. Anything else? Okay, public hearings, we have none. Public participation. For any delegations on agenda items, any person who wishes to appear before council regarding an item on the agenda must register with the clerk's office. To register, you can complete the online delegation form, www.georgianbluffs.ca/delegations, or call the clerk's office at 519-376-2729, extension 603, or register in council chambers with the clerk prior to the meeting start time of 5 p.m. So we have no delegations today. That's just for information for anybody wanting to come and speak to council. Consent agenda. Does any member wish to pull items from the consent agenda tonight? Seeing none. The recommendation then is that council of the Township of Georgian Bluffs adopt the consent agenda for information as circulated, and that all actions contained therein are hereby approved. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Coburn and Councillor Winters, is there any discussion? Yes, otherwise you had to pull it over. I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Correspondence. Sorry, that's all under consent agenda, isn't it? Reports. Committee of the Whole. The recommendation is that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on March 12th, 2025 be adopted, including recommendation COW 2025-014 to COW 2025-020, and that all actions contained therein be approved. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Pringle. Councillor Thompson. Is there any discussion? Councillor Coburn.
Thank you, Mayor Carlton. I just want to be sure, 11.2.1 is what we're on at the moment.
No, we are on section 11.1.1, Committee of the Whole.
I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. My apologies.
That's okay. Any other discussion on that? I will call the vote then. All in favor? That is carried. And then we're on to information reports. So the recommendation is that all information reports contained herein be received. Is there one of those then, Councillor Coburn, that you're wanting to pull? Go ahead.
Thank you. Just the first one. This is in regards to council remuneration and expenses and the report. I couldn't help notice a very wide variation in the per diem line, and the report does delineate what is included in that particular line. I would like to recommend for more transparency that line be broken up a little bit more, just so that the public knows why there's a variance in that. So I believe that would mean breaking that category into attendance at board and committee meetings, but then separate from that, attendance at special events, and separate from that, meetings with residents and ratepayers and lobbyist groups. I would like to make that recommendation just so that folks know why there might be a variation in that particular category. Thank you.
So I'm going to suggest that that's the remuneration policy that's being followed there with the reporting, but perhaps we'll go to Councillor Thompson with a question first, and then we'll let staff answer. Councillor Thompson?
Well, my question is about the remuneration report, but now I have a spin-off of Councillor Coburn's question, because I think it is tough, and I think I don't want people to make assumptions based on the disparity in some cases. So when we say called meetings, like I hate to bring this up, but I don't think we don't claim meeting with ratepayers. I mean, certainly we wouldn't put that in a called meeting, I wouldn't think. Or am I confused? Like, called meetings to me is committee meetings.
Okay, let's go to Samantha for an answer or maybe an explanation there.
Through you, I'm going to try to address all the questions that were just in there, so I apologize if I miss any. The Municipal Act is actually what dictates what I have to disclose, and they just say the remuneration and expenses. They don't actually give direction on how broken down that must be. So that would need to be a direction from council. If you would want it, it would be a lot more time consuming to get that breakdown, because what we use right now is our payroll software to determine those total amounts. So it would have to have a bit of amendment in procedure, possibly to how you are paid and the line items that come on your pay, or it will be more time consuming at kind of this period in time when we're trying to summarize the report. The called meetings attended, those are just the ones that we can. They've been a formally called meeting, so that column does not include any meetings with ratepayers. However, you, under your remuneration policy, you are eligible to submit for those that you do receive at the per hour per diem rate remuneration for it. So it wouldn't be in that called meetings attended, but it would be, the remuneration would be in the per diems column. I think those were all the questions, but I'm sorry if I missed one.
Councillor Thompson?
Well, yeah, so the called meetings, then we're just those, the called meetings attended is our meetings, our scheduled meetings, or our endorsed committees of council.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, my question was about, I see a phone charge for me. I don't have a phone, I pay for my own phone, so I'm assuming that's a typo.
You still do, sorry, for you, you still do receive the monthly allowance for your phone and internet, and we do actually pay a monthly fee for your phone based on our monthly phone bill.
So we receive a payment of $616 divided by 12 on a monthly payment?
No, it is a $50 monthly fee, and then the monthly phone charges are approximately the difference. We did have a switch in provider for our phones that resulted in many phones being provided a credit, which is what is causing that phone number to be lower than in previous years.
So I receive a $50 payment per month, and the annual fee for my phone is $16. I don't understand.
So every counselor, so not the mayor and deputy mayor, with their first pay of each month, do receive a $50 allowance for phone and internet. That is to cover.
Is that counted, but is that counted in the 616?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that would be $600.
Yes.
And then what's the extra 1633?
That is the difference in the monthly phone and net bills that we paid on your behalf and the credit that we received.
Okay, maybe everybody else understands it. It seems peculiar that, so Councillor Colburn has a phone. I'm sorry, I don't mean Councillor. Every councillor has a phone, and it costs $616. I just buy my own, and it costs $616.
So what you're saying, Councillor Thompson, is you do not have a municipal phone?
Correct.
So perhaps this is something we should have looked into, because I think staff is under the impression that they are paying a phone bill for you. So perhaps we can leave that with staff.
Yeah, that's okay. I just figured, even if we are all receiving $50, I feel like I'm the only one that directs payment for a cell phone to a provider. I don't think my councillor colleagues do that, so the numbers probably don't add up there.
So I think all council members receive that $50 per month. used to be called an internet fee to pay for home internet that would be used in our roles as council members. And the deputy mayor and I are through the county now.
Right, so all the councillors are directing payment to a provider for their phone. They take the $50 and pay to a provider.
I'm going to go to Brittany here.
Thank you. So I think that the difference or the nuance between Councillor Thompson's situation and the remainder of council is Councillor Thompson uses his personal device to facilitate municipal business. Where the bill would come in would be just to facilitate that line being adopted by the township. So there is a bit of a nuance, there is a bit of a difference, but we still pay for the service essentially to recognize his municipal phone number, I guess, if that makes sense. He doesn't have a device provided by the township, but he still has service to said phone through the township, if that makes
I
sense.
don't. Yeah, I don't know, can somebody help me? I'm having trouble explaining this.
How about we have it that you talk to staff directly and sort that one out? Because I don't think we're getting to the root of it here.
I agree, but how do we approve this document? I think this is a
Okay.
this is a municipal act, and it's not accurate unless people think I totally am misunderstanding this. So my phone bill that I pay for, so 519-270-7732, the number that's on the internet. It sounds to me like I receive $50 a month for that, and I pay approximately $80 a month. So I pay $960 a month for my phone. Is everybody else doing that? Because if everybody else is doing that, then this is right. If everybody else is not doing that, then we're not all receiving $16.33, I don't think.
For you, I am looking at our monthly Rogers invoice right now, and we pay on your behalf for a phone number that is 519-373-6088, a monthly amount. And that is what.
That's not a. Okay. Okay, so it sounds like we should leave that. We should probably stop paying it, because I don't think we don't publish that number and nobody knows it exists, including me.
I'll have to look into that a bit more.
Okay, but if we have paid that number, then it sounds like the report is correct. My apologies.
Okay, Councillor Coburn?
Thank you. And sorry, I didn't want to cut in on the discussion about the cell phone fee, but just a follow-up statement regarding the per diem. I understand that we're meeting the requirements of the Act, but that's a minimum. We're meeting the minimum requirement. I am suggesting that we can do better and we can provide more transparency if we were to take that line of per diem and break it down. Is it going to cause a little extra work for staff? Possibly, yes, I understand it will. But it is the only one that contains multiple different kinds of expenses and doesn't tell our ratepayers much of anything, where all of the rest are very specific: phone, professional development, mileage, salary. So perhaps this is not the time to talk about how we want this presented to the public, but I don't want us to lose it either. I would like that to come back when we talk about the policy for remuneration. Just wanted to end on that particular note. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does staff have any response to that? Okay, any other comments from the rest of council? I'm going to look to the clerk. I have an idea. I did not get a mover and seconder when we put that one on the floor.
Mayor Carlton, I'm going to recommend we do this in a few steps because this is essentially a recommendation that adopts 2 reports. I would recommend that we break it out in that we essentially treat this like our consent agenda and say that item 11.2.1 would be sort of separated from consideration, and that if there's a specific direction that needs to be formulated to staff, we would do that separately from adopting the information reports.
Okay, so I will go back to council with what recommendation is wanted on this report then? Or are we simply receiving it, which is what is there, just covering both information reports that they be received for information? Is anyone wanting something different there? Councillor Winters?
I think in all respect to Councillor Coburn, she's asked that, I think her wishes are that the per diem and future reports be broken out in a little bit more detail. And I would support that.
Are we asking then to have that broken out and brought back before we receive this report or for future reports?
I personally would be happy with future reports.
Okay. Councillor Scholdice?
Yeah, I'd like to, if I could see any improvement on this, I'd like to see more transparency in called meetings attended. And I think that line should be broken up a bit further. Kathy, I don't know if you touched on that a minute ago, if that was what you're talking about, or if it was per diem. But I think it would be, I'd like to see, under the called meetings attended, I'd like to see where it would say council meetings and committee of the whole meetings as a separate bar graph. I think that's important to see, as well as our own committees, how many committee meetings we've attended. I'm not so sure about having called meetings attended, including picking up the phone and talking to a ratepayer or just going out and meeting with the ratepayer. I'm not sure that's something we're paid to do, and if that is, I certainly haven't been putting in for it, but I think that we should be more transparent about the called meetings attended section. We could improve on that.
Harley?
Thank you, Mayor Carlton, through you. So I'm going to recommend that we pass a motion that says that all information reports contained herein be received, less item 11.2.1, and then we can move on to further discussion about, 11.2.1.
Okay, Sam?
Municipal act, it must be approved by actually first. Throw that in there.
Okay, it's just been brought up that this report has to be approved by March 31st. Councillor Thompson, I saw you had your hand up.
I think getting into the weeds in this report maybe is a bad idea, but I'm supporting the comments of Councillor Coburn and Councillor Scholdice and Councillor Winters, that I just think we should be clear so people can see what they're looking at. So I would support that.
Okay, Carly?
Thank you, Mayor Carlton, through you. So I think we can do this in 2 steps. If we put the recommendation on the floor that all informational reports contained herein be received, less item 11.2.1, then we can subsequently consider 11.2.1, any specific direction, and also satisfy the requirements of the Municipal Act to receive it in advance of March 31st.
Okay, so we're going to go with what Carly has said, where we're going to receive all reports, all information reports except for 11.2.1. And so that's basically all the annual drinking water summaries. So if I could have a mover and a seconder for that, and then we'll come back to the remuneration one. Councillor Scholdice, are you moving that one? And Councillor Coburn? Is there any further discussion on that? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. And then back to 11.2.1. I'm thinking what we need to have is that we're accepting the report with direction for future reports. Is that what everybody's looking for? Okay. Carly, I'm going to let you wordsmith that one for us.
Thank you, Mayor Thornton. So just to clarify, the more detailed breakdown that council is seeking is basically a distinction between the called meetings that were attended, specifically council meetings, special council meetings, and committee of the whole meetings, and then a distinction between committees that members are appointed to. Is there any further direction that council would like captured?
Councillor Thompson, did I see your hand? Okay, Councillor Thompson, then Councillor Coburn.
Yeah, I think this is it's kind of a key report because it is a bit of a reporting card for people to look at. So I think we need to be clear about what we're talking about. So our meetings that we attend are council meetings and committee of the whole, and then separated into council endorsed committees. So for me personally, I have 2 committees, and that's about all I can handle. My one committee meets bi-monthly, and the other committee hit a period where they were sort of stagnant. So I didn't have many out of regular council and committee of the whole meetings. So my suggestion is that we have, regular council, committee of the whole, then special council meetings, and then committee meetings, and then other. Like I still can't wrap my head around what other would be, but I think then if people have other things, then I guess they have other things. And then maybe it'll be clear for people to see what it looks like. So yeah, that's my comments, is just to try and be as clear as we can, because I don't think this is going to paint. I mean, I know this business, so I know that I can probably draw some conclusions about looking at the numbers, but other people won't be able to understand what a disparity would mean. Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Coburn, and then Councillor Scholdice.
Yeah, I think what Councillor Thompson said is important and accurate, and we do want the public to understand where their money is going. The only other thing I would like to see delineated out, and I don't love other as a category because that can raise some eyebrows too. I would rather see a line specific to scheduled public meetings with ratepayers and ratepayers groups. So I think that one does need to be a standalone, as well as the other ones that are described under per diem. And as Councillor Thompson said, the scheduled committee of the whole and council meetings being entirely separate from that. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to Councillor Scholdice first.
Yeah, I would agree with what I'm hearing here. Aside from a couple points, I don't think that we should be listing something such as other, or even meetings with ratepayers or calls with ratepayers. If that's not something we're paid for, quite frankly, it should not be on this list. That's my opinion. We should not have something that says other. Anything that we're paid for should be on this. We should be very transparent about what's going on this list. That's my firm opinion. We should not have a section for other, and we should not have a section for calls with ratepayers. Unless that's something we can be paid for, then that's a whole nother discussion. But in my opinion, if we are not being paid for that, that should not be on this list.
So my understanding of our remuneration policy is that under that salary section, that part allows for all our reading, our background research, any phone calls with ratepayers, any emails, that all of that is included there as part of the base duties of being a counselor. So no, we're not putting in for separate payment for meeting with a ratepayer, because that should be covered in that base. Councillor Thompson, you had your hand up again.
Well, yeah, so I appreciate what you're saying. I think that's the way I understood it. But then it feels like we're drawing a distinction between, we keep referring to meeting with ratepayers or ratepayer groups. Like, that's not a thing though, is it? Like if somebody calls me and I drive out to look at it, that's not a meeting or a remuneration thing. That's just unless we're talking about so I'm just trying to draw a distinction between, so if we have a public meeting at the Kemble Arena and we go and sit, or if the council says we're going to have our mayor and our deputy mayor attend a annual general meeting and talk about a thing, like those I would call those, you know, maybe we pass a motion on those though, and those fit into that category. But you know, if somebody calls me and says, hey, do you want to come out and look at this, that's not a called meeting or that's not a remuneratable thing, is it? Or am I totally out to lunch here?
I have always kind of followed that it's not, that those are part of that base salary. That's part of our duties. Councillor Coburn?
I agree with that, Mayor Carlton. I agree with the interpretation by Councillors Shouldice and Thompson. I have personally never put in for any meetings with ratepayers or lobbyists or groups. But I would note that our remuneration policy does need to be looked at pretty carefully, because there are a couple of paragraphs in there that are fairly vague. I want to use the term a bit loosey-goosey, where some of those determinations may be made. And we approved the policy, it's been approved, but we do need to look very carefully at that for next time and make sure there aren't line items that might not be more tightly controlled the way that they should be.
CAO.
So through you, Mayor Carlton, if I may, and the risk of incurring my clerk's wrath, remuneration policy is subject to review and it will be being brought back. We've had that direction, it will come back. It might be easier, rather than taking directions on the fly in the absence of looking at the policy holistically, to look at the policy when the recommendations come back before council, bearing in mind the conversations that have thus been had. So I wonder, before delving too much further into the weeds and trying to write a policy on the fly, if actually when this comes back, we take the notes that have been made this evening, ensure that they come back, along with a copy of this report, so you're able to keep the points that you've raised this evening fresh in mind when that policy returns to you.
Harley?
Thank you, Mayor Carlton, for you. Just to build on what the CAO said, I think there is a benefit to keeping the discussion about the types of things that council is remunerated for separate to that discussion. But I think direction can still be provided for what to include in this report in subsequent years, and I think that's appropriate to do now.
Okay. So is everybody clear on what we're actually voting on here, or would everybody like to have Carly read that recommendation? Councillor Coburn?
Thank you, Mayor Carlton. I would just like the opportunity to respond to our CAO's comments. We have brought this policy up throughout this term before, and we have been told we review it closer to the end of the term, don't worry. But that's a policy of council, and I don't think we ought to be told when we can and can't address a policy if we feel that there needs to be changes. If there needs to be changes, we shouldn't be told that we have to leave it until the end of the term and just put up with it for the next 3.5 years. It's our policy, it's council's policy, and if we feel it's important enough to bring it back to the table to review before the artificial due date, then I think we ought to do that. For the sake of the conversation tonight, though, I do agree that that's perhaps a conversation for another time.
CAO?
Through you, Mayor Carlton, and I apologise if I appear to overstep my mark. We already have that direction. Council provided the direction just earlier this year to bring that policy back as part of the remuneration review. So we already have that direction from council.
Thank you for that. Councillor Shouldice?
To directly answer your question, Mayor Carlton, I would love some further clarification on what we're voting for here, for
Okay,
sure.
thank you. Carly, can you read this off to us again?
Thank you, Mayor Carlton. I tried, I may have missed something, but please let me know. Please feel free to interject. So a recommendation could read that the 2024 council remuneration and expense report be received for information, and that staff be directed to provide a more detailed breakdown of per diem expenses in future reports, including 1, distinction for remuneration received for attendance at council, special council, and committee of the whole meetings. 2, distinction of remuneration received for attendance at appointed committees. And 3, other per diem remuneration received under the council remuneration policy with a notation that describes the types of expenses contained therein.
Okay, does that cover it for everyone? Do we now have a mover and seconder in this one? We need a mover and seconder. Okay, could I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Day and Councillor Winters. There's no further discussion. I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay. Recommendation reports. The first one here is, the recommendation is that RFP 2025-04 Facilities Master Plan be awarded to McCollum Sather at a cost of $192,952 exclusive of taxes. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Coburn, Deputy Mayor Pringle. Who is speaking to this one? CAO?
So thank you, and through you, Mayor Carlton, to members of council. I will keep my comments fairly short on this one. I believe the report explains it fairly fully. As discussed through budget setting 2024, the need to do a facilities master plan to help guide investments into infrastructure across the township was identified through that process. Council provided support for it, but phased the funding over 2 years. The funding recommended in late 2023 for the completion of the work was 200,000. That was funded through the capital budget in 2024 and 2025. So as soon as we had budget passed this year, we placed an RFP on the streets. After significant interest, there was one bid. It should be noted that that one bid does contain several of the people that collectively that were interested in this one, and so the bid reflected the needs that we had requested, met the requirements of the RFP, and falls within budget. And so we are recommending moving forward with the RFP at this point in time.
Thank you. I will turn to council. Any questions or comments? Councillor Winters?
If I may, I mean, I'm a little, I don't want to use the word alarmed, but received only one bid proposal in today's economic climate seems a little alarming to me. In the construction world right now, we are seeing people from all out of the area come locally to bid. There's great discounts and deals to be had by municipalities that receive competitive bids. It's great, we got one, it fits in the budget, but I personally don't feel comfortable with only receiving one bid. And why, if I may ask, do you suppose we only got one bid?
So through you, Mayor Carlton, to members of council, Councillor Winters, I don't know is the answer on this one. Every evidence on the way into this was there was a large number of interested bidders. Looking through the list of plan takers, there were several consulting firms, both local and further afield, which have got a range of skills and expertise that they could bring to this plan. I don't know the reason why we only had one bid that came through. It was a little bit of a surprise when we came to the tender RFP opening that there was just the one. And so I can't answer the question. We definitely did not. There were definitely lots of consultants out there that has skill and expertise in this area that had expressed interest. We had some active back and forwards questions. We had a site visit, which did involve one of the sub-consultants of the consultant that did bid. And so I don't know is the answer.
I was trying to rationalize it last night, and it's great, it's the criteria, it does this and that, and when you read another report and realize that, you know, for $1 million we get a bridge, and for 200,000 we get a binder. That's where I just thought, you know, hey, the world has gone totally offside here with consultants, right? So just my comments, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Next item, the recommendation is that RFP 2025-02 Parks Improvements, Project Management, Design, and Contract Administration be awarded to Seraphim Design Group, SDG, in the amount of $63,000 inclusive of taxes and a 15% project contingency. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Pringle, Councillor Day, and Niall, I think we're back to you again on this one.
Yep, so thank you, Mayor Carlton, through you. Again, I'll keep my comments brief. This one was a little bit more competitive. We had a good number of interested parties that expressed interest in this, took plans, and then submitted bids. So this is work that's primarily focused at implementing the park-based projects that were approved through budget 2025. It will also be able to provide support for the project which is pending grant approval, the Kemble Playground, which will only happen if the grant is successful and we move forward in this one. So this is the expertise in terms of designing fully accessible areas, ensuring that the landscape design elements of the playgrounds is appropriate and done appropriately. They will also oversee the tendering process for the play equipment to help staff ensure that we get the right play equipment to meet the accessible needs at Sarawak Family Park, and they will also undertake the contract management elements of that. The reason we're bringing this back before we get to hearing from the grant, we have no idea when the grant will be awarded. The design process for this really does need to kick off pretty quickly. We need to have some concepts out so that we can have public engagement through the summer months to meet the timelines associated to that grant window, assuming we are successful.
Thank you. Any comments from council? Councillor Coburn?
Thank you, Mayor Carlton, through you to Niall. I just want to make sure I understand the wording at the bottom of page 2. So you're asking us, I think, to approve the design work, the project management and the design work associated with the Kemble Playground before we even know if we're going ahead with that. But the report says it'll only be advanced if the township is successful. What would only be advanced? The work done for this particular project management and design? Or are you talking about the playground itself? I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to pay any money right now for project design for a project that we haven't approved yet. And I just want to make sure I'm understanding what I'm voting for here. All in favor of the other part of it, not in favor of approving spending any money until we've heard back on that grant proposal. If you could just clarify that for me, I would appreciate it.
There you go.
So through Mayor Carlton to Councillor Coburn, that's correct. So in essence, what we're doing is we've included the design of the Kemble Play Area, the project management contract admin of the Kemble Play Area as provisional elements. We're asking for the award of this contract with those provisional elements in. The provisional elements are contingent on that grant being received and will not be advanced if the grant is not received.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just want to be crystal clear. The $13,000 associated with the elements related to the Kemble Athletic Field will not be paid out as part of this recommendation if the grant is not successful. Is that correct?
Mayor Carlton, that's correct, yes.
Yeah, that's the way I read it, that the total price of $53,000 includes $13,000 for Kemble, but that will only be incurred if the grant application is successful. So we would be $40,000 plus contingency plus tax.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on this one? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That has carried. Next item is the award of contract for the replacement of Emery's Bridge. The recommendation that staff report DEV 2025-022 award of contract for the replacement of Emery's Bridge be received, and that a contract with the firm of KB Civil Constructors Incorporated for request for tender 2025-01 in the amount of $1,065,989 excluding HST be awarded, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute a contract for services. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Pringle, Councillor Schuldice, and Kevin. I think we're over to you on this one.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Carlton. I'll be pretty brief on this one as well. It refers to the replacement of Emery's Bridge. So as you may be aware, and just a brief history, Emery's Bridge was closed in 2022 due to poor and deteriorating conditions of the bridge, making it unsafe for motorists to travel across. So since 2022, the bridge has remained closed up into the points that in early 2023, staff brought forward a few recommendations to council in regards of the design consideration. At that point, council directed staff to proceed with a single lane bridge design and to proceed with a single source contract with GEI for the detailed design, contract admin, and construction inspection. GEI did tender the replacement of Emery's Bridge, and so the tender was open to the public on Thursday, January 30th, and it closed on February 26th of 2025. 32 companies or plan takers were interested in the bid, and 4 bids were submitted, with the lowest bid being KB Civil Constructors, Inc. Staff are recommending that to proceed with the lowest bid of KB Civil Constructors, Inc., as their bid was reviewed by GEI and staff to confirm that the accuracy of their prices, and their submission was submitted as per the RFT requirements. So with that being said, I don't want to overstep our treasurer who's sitting beside me, but with that being said, staff are anticipating approximately $470,000 of being under budget with the bridge replacement as of right now. However, we haven't entered into construction, so that's just that's an estimate right now. So in conclusion, staff are recommending to proceed with the award for KB Civil Construction.
Thank you, Kevin. Councillor Day.
My apologies for not catching this earlier, but just to be on the safe side, I'll declare disclusionary interest due to the familial nature of my relationship with the GEI staff and management.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from anyone else on council? Councillor Winters.
Just a couple, if I may, through you, Mayor Carlton. Is council, and just if you can refresh my memory, maybe through you to the CEO or to Samantha, we talked about the dollar value of Emery's Bridge, but did we ever identify how we were funding that? Specifically, was that coming out of capital, or were we going to finance that?
Through you, Mayor Carlton, I'll refer to our treasurer.
Okay. Smart move.
Thank you, and through you. So your budget materials did include that this was to be funded through your bridges reserve, and that is where the holds were placed for your budget purposes and the materials provided at budget time.
Thank you. And then my second question through you to Kevin then is, KB Civil Constructors, Inc., I assume that GEI would have done some reference checks and some background to make sure that they've got experience in similar bridges?
Yes, that's correct. So the requirements of the request for tender was to have a reference form filled out with 3 references of similar value bridge replacements, which KB Civil filled out with similar municipalities and bridges of similar size and budgets. And then from there, GEI referred to the accuracy of the pricing and other requirements of the RFT to ensure conformity.
I think it's great. It came in under budget. That's what we're looking for. That's the name of the game. It's just when I was doing some research last night, I couldn't find a lot of information of KB Civil Constructors, Inc. And I saw a lot of bridge remediation repair. I didn't see a lot of new bridges posted on their website as active profiles. That's the only reason I asked that question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or concerns on this one? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. We have no bylaws, no unfinished business, no new business. Does any member wish to provide a notice of motion or a notice of discussion for inclusion on the next council agenda? Seeing none, next item is closed session. Recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Georgian Bluffs move into closed session at 5:50 PM in the Sarawak Room with the Chief Administrative Officer, Deputy CAO, Director of Corporate Services, and Manager of Legislative Services Clerk remaining in the room to discuss 16.1 advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, open meeting exemption F of Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001, short-term rental accommodation enforcement option. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Coburn and Councillor Shouldice. Is there any discussion? We'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. We are now going into closed session.
Georgian Bluff has a lot of activities to do. It's really nature driven, and it's like the community is very nice, very friendly. And a lot of the locals come here every single day and they think of it as their therapy.
We're the Farouk family. We started farm on the lake, and the community, everybody around it, the support structure, the township has actually made us to who we are today. And now that we have this set up, this whole operation is well received by the community. People drive down from far, far away to do camping, glamping with us.
A lot of people come from far away to see the goats, and they're really amazed. Sometimes we feed the babies in front of them.
When we think about Georgian Bluffs, it's really the Reiki forest bathing that comes to my mind. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and we were looking to bring our people for a retreat, and this property just popped up, and we realized that behind it's a beautiful forest. Every time we are driving up, I feel so relaxed. The air is amazing.
If you're an outdoor enthusiast, there's never-ending things to do. There's the hiking all over through the escarpment. There's the bay, the water, if you're into water sports or sailing. And of course, pickleball is growing fast, and it's all over the place right now. So there's lots to do.
What we enjoy the most about Georgian Bluff is having access to the beautiful nature around us, the cultural impact from the First Nations to the local artists.
The trails and so many great things to do, and lots of business opportunity here, and tourism as well to support our business.
First off, what I love about the area is the scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, it's right in the name of the municipality, the Bluffs. Another thing too that I noticed from living through here is all the small communities throughout Georgian Bluffs. They're very unique, and they might be very small, but we're very big with heart. Everybody looks out for each other, takes care of each other, and just the way locals support locals. So the ability to have a local business and prosper is very apparent here in Georgian Bluffs.
People are more genuine here. People are more sincere. They're kind. They know the word please and thank you. It's the way life used to be. It's more simpler. You feel like you're part of something.
The Township of Georgian Bluffs as a municipality is proud to serve its residents, whether it be looking after infrastructure, looking after our roads, grading our gravel roads, looking after our parks, our trails, our community centres, our ice arena, or providing the services that residents rely on every single day when they come to our township offices. I'm proud to lead a team which is here serving the residents of Georgian Bluffs every single day.
what we'd like to see Georgian Bluffs going forward is really, more people coming to experience this beautiful energy, this relaxed energy. Because over here in Georgian Bluffs, I can hear the wind, I can hear the trees talking. It's just amazingly relaxing.
Welcoming more people, yet with the same foundation and principles of community, of respect, and of morals.
It would be great for Georgian Bluffs to continue to support, nature and the beauty that we have here, and to keep our area clean and beautiful.
I hope to see more local businesses, more sustainable living, and more families just moving up here and living and prospering off their land and their property.
For me and my family, Georgian Bluffs means being close to nature. Having the escarpment to hike and the water of Georgian Bay at our doorstep is something that draws us to being part of this community. The family-friendly neighborhoods, the fact I can connect with my neighbors and see them on the street and say hello, and I know the people I'm seeing each day, is something which for me is something I treasure and my family treasures about being in Georgian Bluffs.
The Welcome Package is a tool that was developed by GB-LIP's subcommittee community. It was a tool that was supposed to be used for municipalities to share information with new residents, specifically immigrants coming to their communities, in a consistent way across Grey and Bruce counties. And what's great about it is the package was actually translated into multiple different languages.
As my own personal lived experience as an immigrant, not everything was accessible to me with the click of my hand. But the Welcome Package, if you look up the municipality website, all the information that you need about the schools, about the local hospitals, about the local grocery stores, about the settlement service provider in your area. So I think it is a one-stop shop for all your settlement needs.
Georgian Bluff has a lot of activities to do. It's really nature driven, and it's like the community is very nice, very friendly.
We started Farm on the Lake, and the community, everybody around it, the support structure, the township has actually made us to who we are today.
Every time we are driving up, I feel so relaxed. The air is amazing. I can hear the wind, I can hear the trees talking. It's just amazing, really relaxing.
If you're an outdoor enthusiast, there's never-ending things to do. There's the hiking all over through the escarpment. There's the bay, the water. If you're into water sports or sailing, of course, pickleball is growing fast and it's all over the place right now. So there's lots to do.
What we enjoy the most about Georgian Bluff is having access to the beautiful nature around us, the cultural impact from the First Nations to the local artists.
First off, what I love about the area is the scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, it's right in the name of the municipality, the Bluffs. Everybody looks out for each other, takes care of each other, and just the way locals support locals. So the ability to have a local business and prosper is very apparent here in Georgian Bluffs.
People are more genuine here. People are more sincere. They're kind. They know the word please and thank you. It's the way life used to be. It's more simpler. You feel like you're part of something.
It would be great for Georgian Bluffs to continue to support, nature and the beauty that we have here, and to keep our area clean and beautiful.
For me and my family, Georgian Bluffs means being close to nature. Having the escarpment to hike and the water of Georgian Bay at our doorstep is something that draws us to being part of this community. The family-friendly neighbourhoods, the fact I can connect with my neighbours and see them on the street, say hello,
And I know the people I'm seeing each day is something which for me is something I treasure and my family treasures about being in Georgian Bluffs.
Georgian Bluff has a lot of activities to do. It's really nature driven, and it's like the community is very nice, very friendly. And a lot of the locals come here every single day and they think of it as their therapy.
We're the Farouk family. We started Farm on the Lake, and the community, everybody around it, the support structure, the township has actually made us to who we are today. And now that we have this set up, this whole operation is well received by the community. People drive down from far, far away to do camping, glamping with us.
A lot of people come from far away to see the goats, and they're really amazed. Sometimes we feed the babies in front of them.
When we think about Georgian Bluffs, it's really the Reiki forest bathing that comes to my mind. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and we were looking to bring our people for a retreat, and this property just popped up, and we realized that behind it's a beautiful forest. Every time we are driving up, I feel so relaxed. The air is amazing.
If you're an outdoor enthusiast, there's never-ending things to do. There's the hiking all over through the escarpment. There's the bay, the water, if you're into water sports or sailing. And of course, pickleball is growing fast and it's all over the place right now. So there's lots to do.
What we enjoy the most about Georgian Bluff is having access to the beautiful nature around us, the cultural impact from the First Nations to the local artists.
The trails and so many great things to do, and lots of business opportunity here, and tourism as well to support our business.
First off, what I love about the area is the scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, it's right in the name of the municipality, the Bluffs. Another thing too that I noticed from living through here is all the small communities throughout Georgian Bluffs. They're very unique, and they might be very small, but we're very big with heart. Everybody looks out for each other, takes care of each other, and just the way locals support locals. So the ability to have a local business and prosper is very apparent here in Georgian Bluffs.
People are more genuine here. People are more sincere. They're kind. They know the word please and thank you. It's the way life used to be. It's more simpler. You feel like you're part of something.
The township of Georgian Bluffs as a municipality is proud to serve its residents, whether it be looking after infrastructure, looking after our roads, grading our gravel roads, looking after our parks, our trails, our community centres, our ice arena, or providing the services that residents rely on every single day when they come to our township offices. I'm proud to lead a team which is here serving the residents of Georgian Bluffs every single day.
What we'd like to see Georgian Bluffs going forward is really, more people come in to experience this beautiful energy, this relaxed energy, because over here in Georgian Bluffs, I can hear the wind, I can hear the trees talking. It's just amazingly relaxing.
Welcoming more people, yet with the same foundation and principles of community, of respect, and of morals.
It would be great for Georgian Bluffs to continue to support, nature and the beauty that we have here, and to keep our area clean and beautiful.
I hope to see more local businesses, more sustainable living, and more families just moving up here and living and prospering off their land and their property.
For me and my family, Georgian Bluffs means being close to nature. Having the escarpment to hike and the water of Georgian Bay at our doorstep is something that draws us to being part of this community. The family-friendly neighbourhoods, the fact I can connect with my neighbours and see them on the street and say hello, and I know the people I'm seeing each day, is something which for me is something I treasure and my family treasures about being in Georgian Bluffs.
Council is back in open session now. Council went into closed session under open meeting exemption F of section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001. As a result of closed session discussions, a confidential report regarding enforcement of the town's short-term rental accommodation bylaw was received for information. And moving on with the confirming bylaw, the recommendation is that bylaw number 2025-021, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on March 19th, 2025, be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Day, Deputy Mayor Pringle, is there any discussion? I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. And date of the next regular meeting is Committee of the Whole on April 9th at 5 p.m. And the recommendation is that the meeting be adjourned at 6:29 p.m. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Day, Councillor Winters, all in favor? That is carried. Thanks, everyone.